Anybody who uses this type of coffee cup knows that it gets hot. Let's fix that problem and come up with a great gift idea at the same time. So I've got my coffee cup here and coincidentally have the absolutely perfect template to use for this leatherworking project. If you don't happen to have one of these, well, just stop by the coffee shop of your choice and grab one. I went ahead and cut that out along the seam, and I'm just going to lay it out on this piece of leather and get to tracing. It really couldn't be much simpler. The pattern seems to be transferred well. Let's cut it out. Here's our basic design, but we can't give it as a gift like this. We're going to have to fancy it up a bit. Let's start by cutting in a border groove all the way around our design, being sure that we don't cut too far across any edge. That's why we test and line everything up before cutting in the final grooves. But once we get everything set, it's just a matter of letting the tool do the job. In case you didn't see there, I always like to do a couple different passes with the groover just to make sure the lines are nice and clean and everything's even. But after that, our border is set in and we can get to doing some other designs. In leatherworking, it's always those finer details that set off your finished project, so make sure you take the time to bevel all your edges. All the edges are beveled, and I've cleaned up all the rough spots with that X-Acto knife. Next, I set in the stitch line along both of the edges, and I'll be measuring along this edge for some lacing holes. I use the wing divider here to mark my line along the back side of the leather, and then I just punch in the holes with the appropriate spacing in between. Back to those finer details, we're going to take the time to burnish all the edges. All the edges are burnished. Let's move on to some tooling. I'm just going to be doing some basic tooling on this. So, get a little sponge brush, wet the leather, just enough space for what I'm tooling. And then go ahead and set in my background pattern. That took about 10 minutes. Everything looks really nice. Let's dye this thing. I used a Mahogany Pro dye on this. I think it matches the coffee motif that I'm going for. Now all I have to do is stitch the edges and lace across the top. To stitch the edges, I went ahead and used a cross-stitch pattern, little X stitch. It allows you to bring the two edges of the leather together and butt them up against each other. I think it's a very attractive design. Now we just need to run the lacing across the top. I had some lightweight leather cordage laying around, so that's what I'm going to use for the top part of the design. With the project essentially done, I'm just going to hit it with a coat of Resolane. And in less than an hour, there we go. A very nice coffee-related gift that I would feel comfortable giving to anybody. I think this turned out pretty well. Let's grab our coffee cup, slip it on, perfect fit. Hey, I hope this video gave you some ideas and let you know that not all leather projects need to take a week to complete. If it did, you know I'd appreciate that thumbs up like. Follow us on Instagram and see what projects don't make it to video, and maybe, just maybe, I'll see you on the next video. If you enjoy videos about the randomness of our amazing world, consider clicking on the globe to subscribe, or maybe checking out one of the other videos right here.